Hey guys, it's Ricky from Ricky's Pretties, and today I'm going to be repurposing a cookie tin that I got from Dollar General at Christmas time. You know, these little tins that they have with the little sugar or shortbread cookies in them. That's what this is, and we're going to repurpose it for Easter. This is the small one, and I specifically look for one. Some of them have like raised designs on them. I look for the ones that are flat because I want to be able to, you know, put stuff on top of it. I suppose you could still do the ones that have the raised design on top, but you know, I think it would just be more difficult to do. So I look for the ones that don't have any raised metal. You know, I just want it to be flat. Now, I've also got some a piece of satin fabric that I've cut in a circle to fit, you know, a little. It's larger than the tin itself. We're going to be lining the inside with that, so I'm just going to set that aside for now. And I also have some oil paper. This is from Temu. It looks like this. It comes in all of these different designs. And I selected this image to use today, and also a little piece of another one that I'm going to be using. I also have a mirror that it's actually a candle stand that I got at Dollar Tree, and I have already prepped it. I have sanded off some of the back of it because we're going to be putting an image here. So this is just the clear glass where I've sanded this off. I have a couple of other videos where I've showed this technique, and I will link them in the description box below so that you can see how I did that. Because it does take a little while, and I don't want this video to take forever. Now I already have a tin that I have prepped for the project. I have painted it in chalk paint. It took 2 coats of chalk paint. This particular one had a gold rim around it, which I thought was nice, so I kind of sanded it off so that that would show. If your tin doesn't have that and you want that, like this one here is just plain white, once you paint it, you can use a gold acrylic paint marker, and you can go ahead and go around that little rim with your gold, and it will look the same or maybe even better. But that's what you can do. Now, I mix my own chalk paint. I don't buy expensive chalk paint because it is expensive and I don't like spending money on that. What I do is I get samples from Home Depot or Lowe's of paint. This is a dark blue, but I also had kind of a beige color, and I already had that mixed up in here. And so I just added a few drops of the blue to make this lighter blue color. And you can see this is quite thick. This consistency, very thick, is kind of what you want. You want it to where you can actually, you know, still paint it on, but it needs to have some substance to it. And what I do is I put the amount of paint in here. I get the color mixed up that I want. Now just keep in mind that whatever color this is, it's going to be darker once you paint it on. So I don't know if you can see that in the video, but this you want it just 1 shade or 2 lighter than what you actually want to achieve on your project, because it will darken when it dries. But I put my colors in here and I get the color basically what I want. Then I add just a tad of water to it, and then for this size container, about 3 teaspoons of plaster of Paris, and that's enough to get it nice and chalky, but you want it like this consistency here. And that's pretty much what I do. I used to have a formula, but I don't really use that anymore because I've mixed so much of it, I just kind of eyeball it now. But you can see that it does a really good job of covering. You don't even have to sand this first. You can just paint it on, and like I said, it takes a couple of coats. This isn't the brush that I used. I used a different brush for it, but you paint it on, let it dry, and then once it's dry, you can put on as many coats as it takes to cover your project you know, I think I actually used this brush here, which does a better job of covering that, as you can see. So 2 coats and you're done. So you let that dry and then you put another coat on and it's perfect. Okay, so let me go ahead and rinse that out. I've got some water over here. We'll set these things aside so I can show you the rest of what I have out here. I have needle and thread over here because we're going to be making some gathering stitches in our fabric, and I have some lace links here to go around the tin, and I have a few little bits and bobs, some resin roses and some velvet flowers that are really pretty. We'll be using those, and I have a couple of pieces of applique that I have trimmed from a larger piece. Also, because it's Easter, I have purchased, now this was probably the most expensive part of this project, but on Amazon I got this little crystal bunny, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. We'll be using the little bunny today for our project as well. And I will link what I bought in the description box below so that you can find it if you want this same bunny rabbit. They come in different color ears. I think there's like green, yellow, blue, so you can get whatever color you want. I like pink, so I bought the pink one. So I'm going to wrap him back up because we're not quite ready for him yet. And of course I also have some PVA glue, a hot glue gun, and some Mod Podge out. Alright, so what we're going to do first is, I think I'm going to go ahead and work on the bottom of this. Now what I did when I painted this is I left the lid on. I left the lid on when I painted this, and then I just went around the edge right up to where this meets. And this bottom has a back to it. Here's a seam here. But the lid doesn't, so it doesn't really matter where the lid goes on, but it does kind of matter that you'll have a front and a back on this particular one. That seam may show, so we want to make sure that's in the back. So you don't want paint here because you want to be able to take your lid on and off of it, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and set the lid aside, and we're going to work on this, and I'm going to just put my oil paper on. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. And I'm just going to kind of, there's a little ledge down here on the bottom of this tin. And I'm just going to kind of crease it, so I know where to cut that. I'm not the best cutter. I'm just going to do the best I can. And I'm going to need a few of these, so we're just going to keep doing that. Okay. Now which is prettier? That's pretty. I think I'll start with that little piece there. I think this is my least favorite, so I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to start with this one. And so I'm going to start in the back. I'm just going to kind of overlap that little seam there. And this oil paper, I have figured out, it doesn't do as well with Mod Podge when you're trying to stick it down. So I'm going to glue it first and then go over it with Mod Podge. So I'm going to get my PVA glue. I'm going to clean my little brush because I got that out for this purpose. And now I've got paint on it, so let me clean it real quick. Right. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to start here. Squirt some glue on. I'll use my brush and brush that. And it's really not going to matter if I get it somewhere else because it's going to dry clear. We're going to go over it with Mod Podge anyway. I just don't want it up here. Okay, so don't do that. Now, I'm going to take my little image and I'm going to carefully place it right above where that rim is. And I'm just going to glue it down. Just like so. Okay. But that's all right. All right, now we have that glued down. There was one spot on here that was just a little bit long, but I don't think it's going to interfere, so I'm not going to worry about it. If I was worried about it, I would take a little X-Acto and just trim that off, but I think it's going to be fine. So I'm going to take a paper towel now and just kind of smooth this down. You can use saran wrap, but the oil paper doesn't tear as easy as napkin does. So paper towel works just fine. Just mind your edges like I just didn't, because you might lift those up. All right, now that's pretty. So I'm gonna go ahead and go over it with some Mod Podge now. I rinse my brush out a little bit, even though that's glue, it's thick glue, so I am just gonna go ahead and rinse that. All right, now we're gonna Mod Podge this. And I have gloss, so you can use satin, whatever you want. I like gloss, and it's been a while since I used this, so it's all sticky. Let's get rid of that. Yep. That's why I try to have paper towels out, because I am messy, and I get stuff everywhere, and yeah. So, okay, now I'm just going to go over this with Mod Podge. Okay, now I'm just going to set that upside down here to dry. And while I have my Mod Podge out, I'm going to go ahead and do my mirror. We need to do it next. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and take a paper towel, wipe this, make sure that that doesn't have any residue on it from where I sanded it. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and take my image, and I've got a smaller brush for this. Actually, I think I'm just gonna use the bigger one since it's already got some, and I'm just gonna overextend this a little bit. It's not going to show. And hopefully I can get this to stick, because this is, sometimes doesn't. And now instead of doing this right side up, you're going to do this upside down, okay? And I've kind of got it in the shape that I wanted it in. It's not going to fit perfectly in the spot, and if it doesn't, that's fine, because we're going to be embellishing this with some of our applique and things of that nature, our little blingy blings, so it doesn't really matter. All right, I just want to turn it over and make sure that I don't have any visible creases or anything like that in here. And it doesn't look like I do, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to cut or tear that. I think I'm going to cut it. Actually, just going to trim my little edge off there. Once that's dry, I can sand that. I just want to make sure that it's stuck good. I'm going to get a little bit Mod Podge on there and make sure that edge gets stuck down good. Okay. Now you don't have to do this, but I am going to go ahead and put a little bit of extra on here to make sure that it is stuck. Okay. And for the sake of time, I'm not sanding this edge, you know. This is just for me. If I was going to sell this, I would make it look, you know, more presentable, but I really don't care about that. So, okay, now we have our mirror and we have our image on here. Sorry if that's glaring and you can't see it very good. I'm going to try to tilt it so you can see. So we have our image here, and we are going to just glue that down onto our lid. Yeah. I got my things stuck over there to some things. Okay. Now for this, I have some E6000 and I have a glue gun. We're going to use both because I don't want it to move while I'm working on it. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to put some E6000 on first. If I can get the thing off. It's been a while since I used this too. I don't have to get the pliers and get this off. See there, I think I got it. Okie dokie, yes, okay. So, I'm going to put my E6000 on these little dots here. And now I'm going to put a big glob in the middle because I want it to hold, but it's just going to be setting on these. So I'm going to put me a big glob of glue here. And then I'm going to put another glob, another little glob, and another little glob. And I'm just going to set that down on here and try to center it, push it down, especially in the middle there, and just hold it until the hot glue sets. All right, so I'm going to give this a little minute to dry so that it doesn't really move or anything while I'm working with it. And I'm going to give the bottom a chance to dry, and then we'll be back and I will finish this project up with you, okay? See you in a bit. Okay, so I'm back and it's all dry and it looks really nice. Everything's real pretty. And I did go ahead and put a little bit of the Mod Podge around the edge of the lid as well. And so what I'm gonna do now, that needs to be wiped off a little bit, I think, because I got fingerprints on it. Yeah, okay. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and put the liner in. I've gone ahead, to save time on the video, I've gone ahead and just done some, you know, hand basting stitches around for the gathering process, and then I just kind of fit it down in here approximately where it's going to fit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be gluing this in, but I'm going to turn this edge under as I do it and glue it just under the rim. So we'll go ahead and start. And I'm just going to be using my hot glue gun for this. Hopefully this will work good. We'll find out if this will cooperate or not. I just want my little edges to be hidden, is what I'm going for. Hopefully y'all can see what I'm doing. The little edge didn't get turned under good. You don't want it coming above your rim because then your lid's not going to close. So be mindful of that. I did get some around the edge, so I'm going to take a minute and clean that up, and then I'll be right back and I'll show you what's next. Okay, I got my mess cleaned up, and now what I'm going to do is glue some trim around the inside edge around the top. And I'm going to start with my seam in the back here. Just going to add some more glue. Around that little edge. And I'm just going to glue it as close to the top as I can get it. It's a little long, so I'm going to trim that off. Make sure that edge is done good. feel around for any glue spots and make sure you get those off. Alright guys, I'm going to clean that up a minute and okay, our inside is all done and it's really pretty. It's nice and lined. Gorgeous. And now we're going to go ahead and make sure where our back is. This is our back. And then we're going to just go ahead and put our lid on to finish decorating it. And I'm going to go ahead and put some lace on the outside rim here. I'm going to start in the back where the seam is at. And I'm going to be using my E6000 and hot glue on this. I've got hot glue everywhere. It's all over my fingernails. But I'm just going to start it with a dot of hot glue to hold it in place. So I'm just going to be placing it right there. So I'll get the cap off of this. Was being really stubborn earlier. Okay. Dot of hot glue here and there. I like the E6000 because it dries permanently, it's not as messy as the glue stick, and it can still be manipulated if you need to move it anywhere. Can you see? Hopefully you can. I got out of frame on my last segment, so I'm going to try not to do that this time. I mean, you could still see, but it was down in the corner where it's kind of aggravating. I saw that. I'm sorry. I'm getting better at this, though. I got this set up that's different from what I used to have, and I'm still trying to figure out where everything is and how to stay and where I'm supposed to be. That's stringy. Okay, and some more E6000. Piece is being a little contrary. I'm gonna go ahead and see where it needs to be trimmed. Right about there. And there we go. Put the glue stringies off. It looks pretty already now. I got fingerprints on it again. And it tells me I'm just going to be wiping this off constantly until I get this done. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to place my lace where I want to get it. And yes, I'll be covering up some of the image. Oh well. I want to leave most of it visible, but yeah. Let's see here. Where do I want it to go? I know I want a piece there. I'll get out the bunny. We'll just plan this out for a minute, shall we? I need a place for my bunny to sit. He's going to be so beautiful. Let's see. Okay, so I think that's pretty. That's what I'm going to do. Everything is sticking to things today. Okay, so it's about right here, down through here, and on this edge here. I'll stick me a little hot glue down on it to help it stay. It's really pretty. Same for the bunny rabbit. So I'm going to put glue in his middle. There we go. Oh, he's so pretty. All right. Get the glue strings off in a minute once that all sets. So pretty. I just hate glue strings. Good fuss with them all day. And I'm gonna go ahead and glue this one down with the glue. Hot glue to make sure that doesn't go anywhere. Okay, now I've got a little rosy, which can go right there. Just gonna hold it till it sets good. I'm just not wanting to set, so we'll do more hot glue. There we go, now it's set. We'll do this little guy right there. Dot of E6000 and a dot of hot glue. That one right there, dot of E6000, dot of hot glue. I love these little velvet flowers, they're so cute. They're just so adorable. And then that one's gonna go right there. Alrighty, let's see. I might want one more of those little purple fuzzy ones. They're so cute. I have one over here. Just want to get it out. Maybe I'll put it right here on the edge. That's cute. I think I will. I like it. Just stick it right there. Alright, now all we need to do is just let the glue set permanently and it will be ready to go. I love it. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Look at that pretty little bunny on there. Look at the pretty flowers. What a beautiful box. That is just gorgeous. And just think, we made this from a dollar store cookie tin. So pretty. You could give this to a friend for Easter, no problem. Or just make one for yourself. If you like the project, please make sure to give me a thumbs up and like and share my video if you don't mind. And if you are new and you have not already subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel because it does help me out. All right, guys, I will see y'all next time for another project or flip through, whatever comes first. And I hope y'all have a good week, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.